I'm happy to take questions about that or other issues in a moment. The primary reason we're here is to speak with you about the mid-year economic and fiscal outlook. This is a responsible set of books which reflects the very substantial progress that we have made cleaning up the budget. 2 surpluses in the first 2 years, a smaller deficit this year, and then even with some slippage in subsequent years, a $200 billion improvement in the budget position since we were elected, which means much less debt for Australians to repay. The deficit for this year is now $1.3 billion smaller since the budget, and it's now almost half what we inherited for this year, which is about $20 billion smaller than what it was in the pre-election fiscal outlook. The budget position over the 4 years is $27.1 billion better over the next 4 years compared to the outlook in the pre-election document. And despite all of the pressures in our budget, we are on track for a soft landing in our economy. And you can see that right across the economic indicators that we are talking about today. The economy is growing, but slowly. Inflation is moderating. Real wages and real incomes are growing. Unemployment is low. 1 million jobs have been created. Participation is around record highs. The gender pay gap has narrowed. Tax cuts and cost of living help is rolling out. There's now a $200 billion improvement in the budget, and that means $177 billion less debt and $70 billion less interest repayments over the course of the next decade or so. So we've struck the right balances in our economic strategy and in the budget update today. We've maintained a primary focus on inflation and the cost of living without ignoring our broader responsibilities to people when it comes to Medicare and medicines and pensions and the like, and also without ignoring the very substantial risks to growth. We need to remember in the international context that most of the OECD has had a negative quarter of growth. We have escaped a negative quarter of growth to date. Our gross debt position is a fraction of what we see in comparable countries, and our budget improvement since 2021 has been much faster than the average of advanced economies and the specific comparison with the economies that we usually refer to. And so we have made a lot of progress, and you can see that progress in the document today. Even with a little bit of slippage in some of the years, a $200 billion turnaround since we were elected is the biggest nominal consolidation in the budget on record. And we've managed to get the deficit for this year a little bit smaller as well, but much smaller than was anticipated a couple of years ago. So we've made room for pressures and for priorities with all of the savings that we've made, $92 billion of them, by banking revenue, by showing spending restraint. And Katie's going to take us through some of those issues, and then I'll come back and cover off on a couple of other things. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Jim. Well, as Jim said, this budget continues the approach we've taken since